So let's get started actually making some PHP scripts on our WAMP server. So at this point, you should have installed WAMP server, and you should see the WAMP server icon on your desktop. Down on your system tray, you should see the WAMP server icon, and it should be green. When you first double click on your desktop icon, it starts the server up. It'll start out as red and then yellow and then finally green when everything's running. That has to be running for you to run your scripts, so that's important. And if you don't have that up and running, double click on your icon after you have it installed to get your server running. If you click on this icon here, you're going to see a menu that comes up that takes you a lot of different sections in here. And there's also, you can see where you can stop the server and restart the server. So if it's for some reason goes red, you can try to restart it right here. So we'll be going through some of these items as we go along, but the most important one to look at is localhost. So if I click on localhost and I have the WAMP server defaulted to Chrome, it's going to load this page up in Chrome. And up at the top, you're going to see my server name is localhost. That's where you're going to need to store all of your items. And let's take a look at where the server, where the files exist. So I am in my File Explorer, which I get to by clicking on this icon at the bottom. And we're going to be working off of the local disk. This is a local server. It's installed on our hard drive, on our computer, the C drive, and that's where we're going to be putting all of our scripts. So if I double click on here, you're going to see a new folder in here called WAMP64. Open that up, and there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that got added when you installed WAMP. But the one that you need to look at is this www folder. In there, this is what's running. So right now what I'm looking at, the default page is this index.php. So we're not just putting stuff randomly in here. We're going to create a folder in here to put your stuff. So just put your name on here. I'm going to call mine Peacock. And this folder is where we're going to be putting our scripts. So when we run localhost, we're going to have to put this file Peacock, or this folder directory, on to our localhost to open that up. So let's get started with Notepad++, and let's make our first PHP file. So to get started with this, and it's trying to bring up my last one here, I just want to be working in a new one. Where do I get started? Well, let's just go back out to W3 Schools. And we can get started with just a very basic web page if we want. We can just grab this example right here just to know that we're working. And let's put that into here. Now the main difference here is, even though we have HTML coding here, we need to save this as a PHP file. So I'm going to go to Save As. Now where do I put it? That's where I need to go back to that folder. So I go into this PC, go down to my C drive, go into WAMP64, go to www, and there's that folder Peacock. So I'm going to call this test.php, okay? That's what I'm going to start with. Now you can see the color coding is set up here, and let's find that file on our server. So now we'll go back to my WAMP server, and under localhost, I'm going to put a slash, I'm going to put Peacock, and then the name of my file. That's what we want to see. Now a lot of times students will forget to start localhost, and they'll just go down to their folder and they'll double click on it, and it would run if it's just an HTML file. But if you start getting your PHP scripting out here and you can actually see the coding, that's because you're not running the server. And they'll say, what's going on here? And I'll say, are you running localhost? Have you started your server? And that's something you just got to get used to at the beginning. So let's add in PHP. And we can put PHP anywhere we want, but for right now, I'm going to put it in this paragraph. I want to replace this paragraph with some PHP coding. Now, PHP coding has to go inside of these PHP tags. And the first command we're going to learn is echo. Now, this follows a lot of the same syntax that you used in JavaScript, where you have lowercase that you type in, you have parentheses, you put a string in, you have to have a semicolon at the end. Okay, and echo is how we send something to the web page document. So let's take a look here. I'm going to save this and hit refresh up here. Perfect. Now here's the interesting thing. If I go and I view this page source, you are not going to see that PHP code. That is because it has been done on the server side, okay? It's been done on the web server, and then the browser just gets the result of that. So this is where we're going to begin with just setting up our server and doing the echo, and the next part that we're going to work on is adding in variables. Let's just do that real quick. And I want to set a variable, but I want my variables to be up at the top of my page, just for my own benefit. So I'm just going to go all the way up to the top, and I'm going to paste that code, and I'm going to set up a variable. Now, variables in PHP have to have a $sign in front of them, okay? So my variable's in, but it'll be $in. So now I want to come down here. And I want to put my variable here. Now, you probably remember from JavaScript that we had to have a concatenation. In JavaScript, that was a plus sign, but in PHP, it's a period. So that period combines my variable with my string of welcome. So I've set my value of my variable at the top. Okay? And I can probably change this as a heading to be something like, my PHP page. But this is all just sort of a formality. So this is where we want to begin. Just playing around, learning how to use echo, and now we've got a variable in here. And that's really the main thing today, to learn how to get the server started. And the next thing we're going to look at is how to pass values from our location bar. All right, good luck with that.